All right, this exercise is called the expert interview, and this one is a lot of fun. What's going to happen is I'm going to be the expert on some topic, and then I'm going to have Fred, who is off camera right now, ask me questions on this topic. Now the key is that number one, it's not a topic I really know anything about, and number two is that his questions can be about anything. They don't have to make that much sense, and I just have to do my best to answer them.
And by the way, folks, just because I'm off camera doesn't mean I'm the less talented of the two entities in this scene.
Yes, just the less photogenic one. So now we're going to see this. So Fred, why don't you assign me a topic to be an expert on?
You're an expert on Hungarian lumber.
I'm an expert on Hungarian lumber, and now I will take any questions you may have about Hungarian lumber.
Yes, please. Can you tell us about the state of Hungarian lumber in the year 2009?
In the year 2009, Hungarian lumber is doing great. That is because there's been very little activity of any sort in Hungary, so the trees have had a lot of chance to grow. The wood is very strong and very nurtured, so it's perfect.
What is the Hungarian government doing about the tree mouse that's been discovered?
Well, they actually went and hired tree cats. And so they've taken care of many of the mouses. The problem is now they have a tree cat problem, and they're going to get dogs, and they'll need to get horses and things like that.
Is it true that on her earlier trip this year, Hillary Clinton was found suspended from one of the trees?
Yes, it's kind of, it was goofy what happened. She was walking in the woods, and she didn't realize that there were all these little rope traps planted just to catch these mice, and she stepped in one and whoop, got suspended upside down, and she must have hung there for like 2 or 3 days, which is not what you want to do in the Hungarian woods.
Is it true that the surfing community in Hawaii is considering a sojourn to the Hungarian capital?
Yes, because the best surfboard wood is Hungarian lumber. People don't realize that, but that is how the strong relationship between the Hawaii and Hungary started, is because at the United Nations they were sitting next to each other because they both start with H. They got to talking, Hawaiian said we need good wood, they used Hungarian lumber, and now it's a perfect surfboard material.
Speaking of wood, how would you address the question of Norwegian wood from the Beatles?
Well, the problem with Norwegian wood is that it's no good. You know, the problem is they really pimp themselves out. That's why the Hungarians don't like them, because the reason they have that Beatles song is because the Norwegians really put themselves out there and promoted it. There's an art form to great lumber. The Norwegians just didn't get it.
There we have it.
All right, so that is an example of, now this is a performance game. You can see this type of game in improv comedy shows. The keys to remember, number one, what I hope you noticed is that when the question was asked, I answered immediately without hesitating. Novice improvisers would pause and try to think of a funny answer. This exercise is designed primarily as a creativity builder. You do this game not to try to be funny, not to try to entertain, but just to flow with your creativity.
And those asking the questions are as well using improv because they aren't thinking of their questions in advance, and that's important.
Yeah, you'll find if you do this, you can do this with a group of people where everyone can ask, but if you do this like we did where Fred was just asking the questions, people will say that asking the questions is harder because they're forgetting to use their creativity as well. So when you try this, just practice hearing the question, answering it immediately. Don't worry about what comes out. The goal here is just to talk fast and a lot.